Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pickdawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Saturday, December 6, 2025. Now, if you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, the games I love the most, including my daily Bank Shop best bet in college hoops, as well as my college football and NFL plays this weekend, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday in college hoops. First up, we've got Boise State and Butler. This one is 2 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Now, I don't think it's crazy to say that even in early December, this is a must-win situation for Boise State if they want to be or have a chance to be an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament this year. The Mountain West just isn't strong enough for Boise to rack up the necessary wins. Strong enough this year, I should say, for Boise to rack up the necessary wins to be, to have a strong enough resume to make the tournament that way. They have the miserable loss against the subdivision team Hawaii Pacific on opening night. They have already taken losses to USC and NC State, which aren't bad losses, but those were situations where Boise could have picked up nice wins. Now they have this road game at Butler, a neutral site game at against St. Mary's on December 14th, and that's really their last 2 chances before conference play to make a statement. And it still probably wouldn't be enough unless Boise had a great Mountain West record, which is possible. And of course, the Broncos could go on to win the Mountain West tournament. It's going to be an option as well. I think this team could do that. I mean, I really think this Boise State team has kind of been unlucky this season. I think that they are still one of the better teams in the conference, shot quality-wise, that's certain. Now, when I say it's a must-win, it doesn't mean that Boise State will win because it's a must-win game. Butler is still going to be going for this W just as much as Boise State will. But I just think that Boise's getting a really good price here because of their slow start to the season. 5-3 on the season. That upset loss still, on everybody's mind. And, Butler on the other side's had an impressive start to the year, but they played a pretty weak schedule, ranked 287th in strength of schedule. Their one loss was to SMU on the road. No shame in that loss, but I just wouldn't want to lay this many points up against a Boise State team that really takes away the biggest advantages that Butler usually has over its opponents. Butler is the 6th best offensive rebounding team in the country, and they're a good shooting team, but when they're not making those shots on the first trip, they're getting an offensive rebound at 42% of their misses. Boise State, though, the 12th best defensive rebounding team, should be able to hold Butler to 1 shot per trip consistently. They're also, like I mentioned, shot quality-wise, forcing tough shots defensively, getting good looks on the offensive side. Just because those shots aren't falling at a great rate right now, 229th in effective field goal percentage, doesn't mean that what Boise State is doing offensively isn't going to work eventually. I think it's a sustainable offense, and I think that we see the Broncos pick up a big-time upset win in this game on the road. I'm going to roll a Boise State plus the points in this game in a must-win situation. Next up, we've got Maryland Eastern Shore and American. This one is 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Obviously not a game on a lot of people's radars for Saturday, but I think it's an absolute mismatch. I like American laying the points. Eastern Shore is one of the weakest offensive teams in Division I. The shooting-wise, turnover-wise, they lose the ball in about 25% of their possessions. And I don't think they do much of anything offensively here, but I also think their defense has been quite lucky. They're giving up easy looks, but their opponents have not shot the ball well, like East Carolina, which has been a bad shooting team this season. They had many good looks in that game, but couldn't cash in on a majority of them, enough to cover the spread in that one. Give credit to Eastern Shore for finding the backdoor cover, but I don't think that's going to be an opportunity in this game. American is a better shooting team, not a great half-court offense, but they should have a lot of fast break opportunities, a lot of fast break points, as their defense is aggressive. They force a lot of turnovers, bodes well against that bad turnover team in Eastern Shore. And also, one of the side effects for American's defense this season has been, because of its aggressiveness defensively, they take a lot of fouls, and their opponents get a lot of free throw attempts on the other end. But that's not really a concern with Eastern Shore, because not only does this team not get to the free throw line often, they're also the 8th worst free throw shooting team in the country, 60.9% as a team from the charity stripe. So I think American's defense holds strong. I think their offense has a breakout performance. I look for a one-sided blowout win. I'm going to lay the points with American. Next up, we've got Toledo and Oakland. This one is 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Now, for me, Oakland is a really dangerous mid-major school this year, and they're my pick to win the Horizon League. And if your sportsbook offers Horizon League tournament or regular season odds, futures odds, not a lot of them do right now, but I would take Oakland. We should see those types of futures bets offered a little bit more later in the season. But I would take advantage early. I think this Oakland team is, they just have a lot to like about them. First of all, they play the toughest non-conference schedule in Division One. They're still 3-5 on the season, which or excuse me, 4-5. They've won their last 3 games. They play the toughest schedule. They're led by a legendary head coach in Greg Campy, who has been there for years and is one of the most underrated coaches in Division One college basketball. This is a team that returned about 20% of its team from last year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in today's day, in modern day college basketball, for a mid-major team like Oakland, that's actually pretty decent. And I think that this is a great test. Toledo is also a really solid mid-major school, a great offensive team. They're going to be able to score some points in this game, but I don't think Toledo's defense is anywhere near strong enough to keep up with Oakland for 40 minutes. This is an Oakland team just put up 100 points in its most recent game, its first conference game against Purdue-Fort Wayne. They have some of the best players in the Horizon League and some of the best players in mid-major college basketball on the roster. They have an excellent point guard in Brody Robinson. I think this is somebody to really watch. He is a senior this year, but somebody that I think could be a candidate for Horizon League Player of the Year. And I just think Oakland's too much, and it's still a pretty reasonable price in this game as the home favorite. I'm going to lay the points with Oakland. Next up, we've got Ole Miss taking on St. John's. This one is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. Now, we faded Ole Miss in their first real step-up game of the season against Iowa at a neutral site, and Iowa won that game by 5 points. It was a competitive game, but the Hawkeyes got the job done. Since then, Ole Miss played another semi-step-up game. Really wasn't. It was a neutral site game against Utah, which is one of the weakest Big 12 teams this season, and another outright loss for Ole Miss in that game, 75-74. They then took another loss. We faded them again against Miami at home. That was for the Rebels. They lost that game outright, 75-66. So, the Rebels, they were taking down, Southeastern Louisiana, Louisiana Monroe, Cal State Bakersfield. But when the schedule got tough, they have folded every time so far. Their most impressive win was against Memphis, but again, that game was at home. This is the first true road game of the season for Ole Miss. They played those 2 neutral site games and a home game against Miami. Now they're on the road against a St. John's team that obviously has a great home court advantage, an unbelievable team, very well coached team under Pitino, and a team is frustrated coming off a loss against Auburn. I think this is just a miserable spot for Ole Miss, a team that's not in good form, facing a frustrated team in St. John's that plays at a really fast pace, an elite offense, a great defense. I got to roll with St. John's here and lay the points. I think this one could get ugly. Next up, we've got Pine Bluff and DePaul. This one is 9 p.m. Eastern on True TV. Now, I had Pine Bluff as a premium selection on Wednesday afternoon against Illinois Chicago, plus 16.5 points. Didn't think they'd win the game outright, but they did, 63-62 final. And I think Pine Bluff can build off that momentum. I think this team is still mispriced right now. They played a brutally tough schedule, and they've struggled in a lot of those games and failed to cover in a few of those games as well. But the 12th toughest non-conference schedule, they've been against much tougher than DePaul this season. And on the other side, DePaul does have some blowout wins over inferior opponents on the year, but they also have an 8-point victory over a Stonehill team that I think Pine Bluff is much better than. So we've seen DePaul struggle in these spots as well, laying these giant numbers. They're coming off a miserable game against LSU where they lost by 33 points. I think Pine Bluff's defense is good enough in this one to keep this game within the number. I don't think Pine Bluff pulls off the upset, but I think it's going to be a competitive game. I'm going to take the points here with Arkansas Pine Bluff. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com, and there is a link in the description. As always, Romanelli, good luck.